Hi, how are you? What's up? Wait. Boogies. I love you. So he's trying to figure out how to get on my lap right now. Hi, welcome to FiberLoveDiary. I'm Trish if we haven't met, and if we have met, welcome back. How are you? I hope everything is okay where you are. Everything is fine here. John's at work today, like in the office. He's been working from home most of the time for, I don't know, a couple months. Maybe not even a couple, maybe a month and a half, whatever. When he's home, I tiptoe around, sorry, so I won't disturb him, but he's not here today, so I can be loud if I want to. We're going to work on the second week of breed study. I want to say a few things. I'm going to add this to every one because you guys have questions. However you want to say it, probably not intelligently. I was thinking that everybody would remember the unboxing. I unboxed this in January, right before we got COVID. I got it from Woolgatherings. I'll actually link to it in this one, and maybe I'll go back and add the link to the first episode. I should have done it. In my brain, I was thinking everyone would remember, but of course you didn't. I wouldn't. I barely remember what's going on in my own life half the time. I have to put on reading glasses when I wear my contacts, sorry. We're working on the 30 breed sampler from Woolgatherings on Etsy. I have done 2. I will link below so that you can see that. In fact, I better make a playlist for that, huh? All these things I think of while I'm filming. I did some like pre-research yesterday. I'm finally feeling better. We had COVID and I've talked about it on a bunch of videos, but then new people show up and they're like, what are you talking about? So we had it. It's been like a week and a half since we were like free to move about the world the way that normal people do, because we met the CDC guidelines for not being contagious anymore. But that 10 days, actually the next week after we hit that milestone, I don't know how to explain this without sounding like I'm whining. I'm totally not. I feel so lucky that we weren't sicker. But every single day during the first week after we weren't contagious anymore, between noon and 2, people were trying to have conversations with me and stuff, and I was so tired at that point in the day that I couldn't process, and I would get frustrated, and I have never experienced that before. And I was like, I just want people to go away. Sounds really bad, but I was so tired that you could talk to me and my brain was like having trouble making sense of it, and then trying to formulate a response was even more challenging, and it was really bad. But on Saturday I noticed that it was like after 2 o'clock when I started to feel that way, and then on Sunday it was after like 5 o'clock when I started to feel that way. So it's getting better. I'm getting back to normal. Today I feel quite energetic. I did have some coffee this morning, some regular. If you guys have been watching for a while, you'll know that I gave up caffeinated coffee a while back, and I don't know, guys, it might be creeping back up into my life. Right now I'm just trying to get through. I'm just trying to live life, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna go to Corriedale Sheep and just talk a little bit about what the Fleece and Fiber source book has to say. I highly recommend this book. I probably said that last episode, I don't know. It's great. There's tons of breed specific information. There's tons of other spinning type information in it as well. So I am using this as a reference. Also, I used to have another book that divided the breeds a different way. So if you know what I'm talking about, it probably came out in the mid 2000s. It had I think it had a blue and white mostly cover. If anyone knows what book I'm talking about, please tell me what the title was, because I had a hard copy, I sold it, and now I wish I had it back. So they put together Corriedale and Bond and talk a little bit about how it was developed. They say it was started in New Zealand and then quickly followed by Australia with their own programs. And it was an attempt to cross what they say in the Fleece and Fiber source book is merino and Romney, and I believe Romney is also a mix, but we'll get to Romney later because we're going alphabetically. They were trying to get like an awesome fleece off a big, awesome meat sheep. A Romney is a really big sheep. They were attempting to get like the best of both worlds. A great big good meat sheep, as well as like a perfect merino fleece. One of the things they talk about in the Fleece and Fiber Source book, and I agree with this, it has been my experience also, even though I'm sure they have way more information and experience than I do, but I would say for me, this is the breed that has had the most variation and still been considered within range of an ideal fleece for color, micron, length. So you just can find a really big variation in a fleece that's considered to be a good example in Corriedale, if that makes sense. And I think it's really cool that you can find so many colors. You can't do that in certain breeds. I'm gonna give you some of the facts. Generally 10 to 20 pounds, that's a pretty big guy fleece. It says averaging about 12, that's still on the big side, in my opinion. I think I might have had a bigger merino, and I definitely had a bigger Romney. It says 3 to 6 inches is the normal length. That is a very big variation. I've had both. The diameters range all the way from 25 to 35 microns. If you've ever had a Corriedale fleece, and I have had quite a bit, that has generally very blocky lock structures. The crimp goes all the way through. That's what that says too. And then it also says most are white, but in smaller flocks, pale gray through black, beige through morat, and brown. So you can get basically any color of fleece there is out there, which is one of the coolest things in my opinion about Corriedales. The color range is really amazing. It's like CVN, like you can just get any color practically. Oh, it says if you want to card the fiber along a fleece with a long staple, you can always cut it in half. I am not somebody who normally thinks first, I'll just cut this, but I have cut off like weathered tips before, so I mean, you can do it. Easier to spin than many wools of similar fineness, agree. Oh, this is really good advice. It says that because it will puff up, spin your singles even finer than you think you need to, because once you wash it and it blooms, it will be like puffier than you thought. Let's check our staple. I'm definitely holding both sides of the staple. This is over 6 inches. So I'm not going to card this. It feels to me a little fine for a Corriedale, like a little bit on the more fine end than a lot that I've spun. I'm gonna spin it right from the top. I am probably going to use kind of an in-between draft. I'm gonna let it draft into the fiber a little, but I'm not gonna do a true long draw. Okay, let's do it. the next day and hi. The sun is out. So the spinning is done. I got them all spun in one day. It's the next day though to do the review. And I don't think it'll surprise anyone that I loved spinning this Corriedale. I actually have a bump of this in my stash that I'm dyeing for my shop. I loved it. So it definitely came out sport weight. And it spun up so evenly and wonderfully. This is comb top, which is a worsted prep, but I was trying to preserve some squish and I think it wouldn't have mattered. I probably would have got some squish no matter what. I used a woolen draft in the sense that the twist goes past your front hand into the fiber supply. It's a woolen draft, but it's not long draw. There's more than one of everything. I liked how it worked. I loved how it spun, and it spun so fast. It was like, you know, crazy town. So I have 78 yards, which is right kind of in line with the other two that I've spun. I had 86 of one and 70 of the other. So it's like falls right in the middle. And it's just really, really nice. I could definitely spin like pounds of this. I loved it. But let me say this too. Okay, so I don't know if you guys will remember it, but I'm going to show you. This is the Charlet, and it was spun. First I carded it to disorganize the fibers, and then I spun it a true long draw, well, pretty close to a true long draw, and it's very stretchy. See how much it springs back? And I'm really not pulling that much. I think because this was comb top, I do not have as much stretch in this. And I also think if I could have carded it and then spun it long draw the same way, I might have had to cut it in half. I probably would have needed to cut it in half, so it would have been almost impossible with top. But I think I would have got the same amount of spring, because this is just really squishy. It just doesn't have as much spring to it, and I think that's just the prep. So I thought you guys might want to know that. It did turn out super pretty, and I made some notes just that I really enjoyed it. It feels crisp. It's kind of in the middle. Like, it's softer than some Corriedale that I've spun, and it's not as soft as others, which is just the way Corriedale is, you know? I have a few notes to add to my sheet, but otherwise I have finished Corriedale. Devon. They have this group together with Cornwall Longwool. So these are considered primitive breeds. They do talk a little bit in the book about Devon Longwool and South Devon as being like two different breeds. I don't know which one of these this is, but you know, you really don't know. I will say it says you need a light hand during spinning. So just based on what it looks like, my impression is that it would be quite ropey if I spin it, if it's overspun. And I thought I saw some Kemp, but I guess we'll see. If I see some, I'll pull it out so I can actually show you guys what Kemp is. I should have done that last time. It's just very hair-like. I think it's gonna be very ropey. Now what it says in the book is that heft, drape, and presence. I'm not exactly sure what presence means, but look how cute this shape is. Get out, so cute. This says the fleece weights are 13 to 22 pounds for ewes, 26 pounds for rams. That is giant. With some fleeces as large as 44 pounds. What? That's insane. Staple length 8 to 12 inches. Wow. Sometimes up to 18 inches. And it also says 36 to 40 microns. So that's pretty coarse. It has a classic long wool lock form, long and wavy with curly pointed tips. Okay, natural color white. So it says it takes color well in dyeing. We'll find out. Spin from the lock or comb, essentially. This is comb top. It says it's slippery. I mean, not having any crimp and then also just being pretty much like smooth is gonna do that. It says it'd be really good for warp and weaving. Oh, it also says it would make a great shiny rug yarn. For me, normally I wouldn't spin something like this unless it was for a rug yarn. And I'm not against a rug yarn, but like it's definitely does not appear to be next to skin soft at this point in time. Sometimes spinning changes things, so we're not gonna make any snap judgments, and we'll see how it goes. I'm also gonna spin this with a worsted draw, and I'm gonna, I guess, underspin might not exactly be the right word, but I'm gonna spin it as little as I think is possible to keep it together. I'm gonna pull some out and we're gonna see what kind of staple we've got. Holy cow! What? It is a 9, this is a 9-inch staple, people. 9 inches. So let's get this spun and I'll be back. Last, so I did spin the Devon. I'm sure you guys saw I use a pretty straightforward short forward draw because it's like hair. It is very strange for those of us who don't usually spin long wools. I mean, I have spun them. I've spun Lincoln. I think Wensleydale qualifies. Does it? I think it does. I mean, it's really not my jam, but I didn't like not enjoy spinning it. It ended up looking really prickly. See all the like prickles that are coming out of it? A lot of it, because it doesn't have any crimp, so it kind of doesn't grab itself the same way that other wools do. A lot of it ended up on Luther because he was in my lap, so all these little shorter ones were like just falling out onto him. How do I say this? I feel like every wool has some uses, and for what I usually spin, probably not something I would go for. However, it would make an amazing rug. It would make great warp for your loom, as long as it's not for something that you're gonna wear next to your skin, because it does feel prickly. But it's so strong, and there is like no there's no resilience at all. Because it's so hair-like and dense, can you see my face? I'm like, it's not gross at all, but the feeling of spinning, someone else said it in comments, that it's like spinning hair from an old wig. It's totally like if your grandma or your great grandma had like a hairpiece or a wig in an old trunk somewhere and you spun it. That's exactly what it's like. And that doesn't sound very fun, does it? I mean, it sounds kind of strange and it felt weird. It's probably not something I'll do a ton of unless I start weaving rugs. And you know what? Never say never, because I've said never before and I was really, really wrong. 3 and 4 all done. And basically I just made a few notes about how they felt to spin, how I did spin. I used the same turkey hand plying for both. I feel like if you're doing a 2-ply and you have 1 ounce of singles, there's no better option than the turkey hand. So you guys have asked tons of questions about that. So I am gonna link the video below where I like slowed down and really described how to do the turkey hand plying technique. The next 2, I pulled them again. You guys, it's almost like I know what I'm doing and I'm back to myself. But the next 2 are Dorset Horn, which is a down breed. I have spun it before. I had some struggles with it, but it was because it was a raw fleece that was so full of VM and it was very challenging. I'm excited to spin some Dorset that takes that part of the challenge out because I just remember it not being a good experience, but it wasn't because of the wool per se. And then the next one is Eider. So this is one I have never had the opportunity to spin, and I will be looking it up, talking to you guys about them next week. Oh, there was one more thing. And also I will link to where I bought this. I got it from Etsy, Woolgatherings. So I hope you guys will come back to see the next 2. I will see you guys next week for these 2. I'm glad you guys were here for this, and I hope you'll be here for next week too. Thanks, I love you, bye.